join my pirate crew? Zora?
You mean to say that Sephiroth is the dark part of Cloud's heart?
Crazy how real that is.
Yeah.
But welcome back to Closing Shift, sponsored by the police. I've got my coffee and my donuts here, and I hope you're all doing well. I am, of course, your host, Emmy, joined by my co-host, Mia. We are here every fucking week. You should know this by now, but welcome back. Hope you're all doing well.
We're your hosts, All Lives Emmy and Make America Great Mia.
Mia America Great again.
We need to stop doing such horrible bits at the start of these episodes, because we start one episode with just rampant misogyny, and then this episode we start like this. People are gonna think we're serious.
Oh yeah. All right, forget all that. Welcome back to Liberal Shift. And welcome back.
Liberal Shift.
I am your host, Democratic, and I'm joined by my host,
Mianopoly.
Mianopoly, yeah, exactly.
It cannot be stressed enough that this show is satire. Please, God.
Yeah, we're just joking. We're like every great podcast that makes good
it's
jokes.
It's just a joke.
It's just a joke. You can't sue me. I pissed on your counter as a joke.
Comedy's illegal now.
Also, I saw this one. It was I saw this one meme that was her. I don't know how to pay my rent. Unbuttons blouse. Him. Oh, I think there's a way. Unzips pants. Everyone else playing Monopoly, and it's just a picture of Willem Dafoe and Spider-Man being disgusted. It's the scene where he's like, how much I sacrificed.
Man, that looks like one of those old style memes, 2016
so
era
funny.
memes.
No, I think that's just because Willem Dafoe's head is shaped like that.
But also just light mode Twitter text format is...
Oh, I've seen memes like that recently.
Well, yeah, but that specific era is just very much that kind of... That specific age of memes was a big thing.
Hot coffee, yum.
I'm drinking my first cup of the day, which is 3 cups, and then my second cup of the day, I'm waiting for it to ice, because I got no sleep. So that's sitting down in the kitchen right now, cooling down, and that's another 4 cups.
I'm letting the ice take a break from my wrist to cool my coffee. You know what I mean? I was telling Mia I was going to say off camera, but that doesn't make sense. I was going to tell Mia before we started recording the show that I'm having my first cup of coffee now, because I'm always 2.5 cups of coffee into the day, but when we start, and then I've fucking dried out my throat by then, and I can already feel it happening. But I have a lot more of my voice now than I usually do when we film the show, which is good. And I also got a full night's sleep.
Oh, you poor Thrissy.
My Thrissy's aching.
Come down to Atlantic City with the poor moles.
Yesterday, I was at work. I was at my very regular job I do. And I had to, my shifts are me standing and doing stuff for 6 hours straight. And yesterday, my feet got in so much pain that I got nauseous and dizzy standing up. So I was like, this is bad. And I had to, it was so bad. And I had to come home and immediately go to sleep, which I was going to do anyway, but I had to because I couldn't stand up anymore, which was unfortunate. But I'm glad that I have a comfortable apartment where I can come chill and do whatever with my swinging dick swinging out wherever I want, whenever I want, no bitches in my way. And I definitely have no bitches on purpose, because
no bitch is gonna stop my swinging.
I got 99 problems, but a bitch stopping my dick swinging ain't one. I am gonna have to eat these donuts at some point during these podcasts, which I just realized.
Dick out my pants, got no weight on my shoulders.
I should be wiser and realize that I've got more dick swinging without you. I got more dick swinging without you. Also, a wonderful acquisition by Mia and I recently is the purchase of Helldivers 2.
Yippee!
I've played just under 2.5 hours, and I don't think Mia's played it yet.
Nope.
But we're going to today, and it's going to be fun. So be sure later today, as of the moment you're hearing this later today, be sure to check out. I don't know if we're going to stream. I'm sure we're going to stream it somewhere. Twitch.tv/oneofus. You can find it.
There has to be somebody with the username twitch.tv/oneofus.
I don't know. Let me go to twitch.tv/oneofus, see if I can find anything.
I think Helldivers 2 is going to be the exact thing that I need to break me out of my current funk that I'm in. I have been for the past several days, at least 4, if not 5 days. I have been under the weather, and it has sucked a lot because it's not just your normal little like, oh, I'm just a little bit sniffly. It's been a lot more like just my sinuses just feel really bad. Like they're like not runny nose shit. It just feels like my sinus is angry and just doesn't feel good. And there's that on top of also my muscles have been not feeling good either. I had some fatigue, some weakness from it as well. That's really sucked. Like my legs hurt and it sucks. I'd like it to stop.
Yeah, I bet these changing seasons have been fucking my sinuses as well. Thankfully not as bad, but also, by the way, I did find twitch.tv/oneofus, which does exist, but it's of course a one follower account that has nothing on their profile.
It's always the people with like the most baller usernames that just don't even utilize it.
Yeah, like Cosmic Emerald. Fuck you, whoever has that name. Thanks for taking it on Twitch. Awesome. Super cool of you. I'm glad I have it on the platform I like more anyway.
Back around the time that Twitter was starting to disintegrate, I was like, you know what, I should probably like make like my own account on a bunch of different social medias in case that ends up being like, you know, whatever thing like takes the place more so. So I wanted to make a Tumblr account with my username, and somebody else had stolen it after I'd been using my own username. Somebody else had stolen Rotting Coffee.
Wow.
Really cool.
What a jerk.
What a dingus.
Maybe Tanisha would give you a call if you'd stop hanging out with a bunch of jerks for a change. That was such a craze. Can you believe that was like 3 years ago now? That fucking Lamar Rose Franklin meme. Holy shit. That's like one of my favorite memes of this decade so far. It was so funny.
It's still like, quotable.
It's so quotable. And I mean, that's the thing too, is that game is like 11 years old and that meme is like, well, that meme's mainstream popularity recently is like 3 years old, and I remember it got to the point that they got the real voice actors to like recreate it in real life, which was even cooler. That felt like a coming home memory for me. It's crazy how many mainstream scale memes have come around so far. I mean, it's hard to say like so far in this decade with how little of it we've been through, even though we're like almost halfway through it, but it's crazy.
I mean, are we truly halfway through a decade that like about 3 years of were just straight up deleted? I think like we're still basically at the start of the 2020s mentally.
Well, in terms of the numbers, yes, we are almost halfway through it.
Yeah, but the numbers don't mean anything.
You're right.
Math is a concept made up to get you to buy calculators.
Right. Math is calculator propaganda. It's all bullshit. All of it's bullshit.
I've been looking through the evidence of whether or not we need math, and it doesn't add up.
Speaking of bullshit, I have a Netflix account again, thankfully.
God, fucking Netflix really was the canary in the coal mine for the subscription sharing stuff. Mm-hmm. And now everybody else has followed suit.
Yes, it's true.
This is why I still advocate for, if you can buy physical media of stuff, you probably should. Although it doesn't even matter if you get physical games these days.
It's fun to collect, too.
Yeah. But it doesn't even matter if you get physical games these days, because a lot of physical game copies that you can get in stores, whether it be a CD or a cartridge, usually only has like 1 gigabyte of the game on it, and the rest just downloads as soon as you register the cartridge or like the CD. Right. Kind of dumb.
Unless you go to like the PS3 and back.
True.
Then you're good. But if you get anything that's like the last gen stuff or newer, then you're gonna get that. I think with my Steam library, that's one path I refuse to go down, except for the one exception, which is I bought a physical copy of Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah. It does kind of suck a lot that there is not a lot of physical media for indie titles. Like, I love Slay the Spire, but it's not like I can buy like a physical copy of that.
No, you cannot. But it is a good game. I tried it on my last. I had seen it before. I think we did a couple Big Wap Big episodes of it before.
Maybe. I think we did, yeah.
I think we did like a few
of them. I don't think those ever made the light of day.
No, they never came out on the channel to my knowledge, but I know that I had seen it before around, and then on my last run of having Game Pass, just those Game Pass runs that come every so often where I have it for like 2 months. I tried it and I was pretty much hooked right in. And then I just got it on Steam the other day so that I could have a copy of it all the time. And so it's been hard because I've been getting so many good games and I want to play them, but I'm doing that thing where you put too many things in front of your face and then you don't want to do any of them. And it's not that I don't want to play any of these games because I love all of them. When I get settled into like one, I'm super into it. So I've kind of just been trying to do that, just force myself getting into one so that I can move forward with it, and then maybe when I'm done playing it, worry about the other ones. Because they're all good. They're all good choices, so it doesn't really matter which one I pick. Although Helldivers 2 and let me look at my library. What am I trying to? Well, I mean, Slay the Spire, Helldivers 2, yeah, Destiny 2. Have been like 3 of my main picks recently. Vampire Survivors is a good one. There's a lot of games also that are single player that I want to play, but I haven't gotten to many of those. Those are ones I want to get to a little more. What's your situation like that right now?
My gaming situation right now, I'm still doing New Game Plus Dark Souls 3. My main goal at the moment is trying to get all the achievements in Dark Souls 3. I've taken a slight step back from my mission of just looking for all the Framp statues because there's really not that many in the game. So there's only like a few spots that I can just check after. Like, it's really a lot of grinding that I have to do right now. And it wouldn't take so much grinding if Dark Souls 3 had good online, but From Software games always have terrible, terrible netcode. So instead I have to farm hundreds of enemies for them to drop the items needed to raise my Covenant level. And with the more you raise your Covenant level, there's certain reward items that you need to get all achievements. So I've been doing some of that, and I'm 2 for 6 right now. That being Watch Dogs of Farron, which is pretty easy, and Mound Makers, which fucking sucks.
What is Mound Makers?
It's just all the different covenants. Mound Makers. You want me to get into some lore? You want a little bit of Mound Makers lore?
Sure.
The Mound Makers are a covenant established in the Undead Burg. The Undead Burg being a place that holds many zombies and lots of souls of the undead, lots of curses of the undead, thus the curse-rotted Greatwood. The Mound Makers are a cult within this that they believe that there is a specific bone in your spine that is the shackle of the gods, because it has a little bit of a funny shape. So they go around killing people and ripping out that spinal bone to add to their mound of bones to offer to the gods, because they think, it like brings them closer to godliness or whatever with these spinal bones. And everything else, they just dump into gigantic piles of corpses. Thus, the mounds that they make. Which also explains why there's enemies in the area that are carrying around large cages and, like, bowls, like big, whatever, jars, just, like, full of bodies and meat. Because of the Mound Makers. Huh. Thank you for allowing me to explain Dark Souls lore. It's enriching.
I honestly didn't want to talk too long. That's why I opened up the conversation to you and asked you what your gaming situation was, because I was trying to prevent that from happening again.
I could go off on so much Dark Souls lore for an entire episode, but I'll say for my gaming situation, if I want to give a couple good recommendations at the moment, I've been playing a lot of Against the Storm, which is like a city builder roguelite. It's like, imagine if a game of SimCity only took like 2 hours. And you got like, different like buffs and things like that, different choices and missions, and that's all very good and fun. Other recommendation, RimWorld, which is also it's a sim like builder thing. That's like a micromanagement colony thing. Really good.
RimWorld is what I call my boyfriend's asshole.
I've actually reached the point in my life now, whereas I thought many years ago, like I thought that I could never get into the story of Dark Souls games and I was only going to play them for the gameplay. I thought the story was too convoluted and whatever, like, if they're not going to tell me the story, I got to find it through item descriptions. I'm not going to bother sitting and reading every item description to understand the story. Guess what I do now? I found myself with a free hour of time the other day, and I was just there reading Dark Souls item descriptions, and you learn a lot.
That reminds me a lot of what happened to me, and I could say it exactly how you said it if I were to describe it as everyone around me just continued to watch and talk amongst each other about One Piece, and I couldn't escape it, so I decided to watch one episode, and you know what happened? I'm just under 100 episodes into One Piece now, and I am not planning on stopping. I am just about to reach Alabasta. For those of you who watch One Piece, you know what I'm talking about. And for those of you who don't, but your friends watch One Piece, so your TikTok feed is flooded with One Piece spoilers, you also know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a very difficult thing with like a show that's like that old and established at this point, is just trying to dodge spoilers. Luckily, I don't keep myself in any anime-related spaces, so if I actually wanted to watch anything like One Piece, I probably could pretty well undisturbed.
That's what's happening to me. I was telling, like, everyone in the friend group that they always talk about, like on their YouTube homepage, on their TikTok For You page, whatever, I almost got One Piece spoiled for me or whatever, and I'm like, I don't know how many anime communities you guys hang out in, but I mean, if I hadn't surrounded my timeline, or centered my timeline so hard on art and like cute PC setups and like women and like more specifically trans women, I probably would have a lot more anime stuff on my timeline, but I don't because I never was like super into anime. I never watched a ton of anime. One Piece is genuinely like probably the 4th or 5th anime I've gotten this invested in, and the other ones I got this invested in, I finished because they weren't One Piece, and I was able to finish them within like a reasonable amount of time. But I'm thankful I have One Piece right now, because not only am I actually enjoying the story and the characters, but it is going to last me a long time, which is nice. So I can like have all these different games that I'm playing that come and go, but I can have One Piece as a constant. Also, I can like do stuff like watch movies and whatever. It's hard for me to start another show right now, and there are shows that I want to start. Like, let me go to some of my watch lists and see if I can find some of them. But yeah, I mean, One Piece is just a nice comfort figure when you're watching it. I guess that's how they rope you in. Is they're like, now you're hooked. Now you have to finish the lore, bitch.
Yeah, now you need to know more.
Yeah.
I have heard from many people that like it is the meme. I was like, no, dude, it gets really good around episode 300. But like, more and more people have been getting into One Piece, and like creators that I follow, and like they talk about getting into One Piece, and I'm like, yeah, I passively watched like the first 300 episodes into paying attention, but then episode 330, now I'm watching.
Now I'm watching. Yeah, like for me, like I have plans to go back and finish Demon Slayer, because I watched it when there was only one season before the Mugen Train arc. I want to go back and watch Castlevania / finish it. I am going to watch Breaking Bad. I'm going to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's just in terms of shows too. Like Across the Spider-Verse I still want to watch, and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish I still want to watch, and stuff like that. Bee and Puppy Cat. There's some other stuff I've been rewatching, like She-Ra and Voltron, but other than that, it's just One Piece. It's all One Piece, because One Piece and One Piece. And I don't need anything other than One Piece. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the Straw Hat Pirates of America. That worked shockingly well.
I don't think there's really much in the way of non-video game media that I'm watching anything of right now. I occasionally watch an episode of X-Files, and that's all good and fun. But I think still mostly my media consumption is usually video game related. It's a lot of streamers right now. Still, I mean, as always, if I'm watching anything other than Vine Sauce, then you know something terrible has happened to me, and I've been replaced by a demon.
I have been inserted into an extermination grid.
It's like I'm at the early stages of a neural net matrix processing.
I don't remember exactly how it goes. Like, I am in a scientific matrix grid in the early phases of being inserted into an extermination system. I believe that's how it goes.
That's the one.
It's good. It's perfect. Alex Jones, you're a treasure. Even though I hope you get hit by every car that drives on the road today. But also, like, oh man, some of the things he says are just so fucking awesome. There's some people that like this world would be better without but also there's things that they have said or done that are so funny that the world of comedy would not be as bright without them. It's
The
so
great
hard
thing
to
is
describe.
now, the families that sued him for the conspiracy theories that he made about like Sandy Hook, they are now like they are taking him for all he is worth right now, and it's beautiful to see.
Oh yeah.
They all unanimously voted in the court that was like whether or not they wanted like press like things for this, like do you want to like do like any kind of settlement? And they were like, yes. All of us want a settlement.
Yes.
we want everything this man has.
I want to settle this gun into his mouth.
It's like 12 different families that were all just like, yeah, fuck this guy.
YouTube, please don't get mad at my angry comments, please. It's just a joke, YouTube.
YouTube, please.
I'm not worried about Apple and Spotify. I don't think they're going to give a shit.
Oh god, poor YouTube getting shafted as usual because the fucking episode 5 wasn't like released to public. It was still unlisted for like an entire week.
Oh yeah. That's just a part of the rhythm we're going to have to get used to. It just doesn't do that for some reason.
Things that usually at the time that the episodes go out, it's, you know, it's like Friday at, well, it's going to start being 2 p.m. my time because daylight savings, everybody else shifted forward an hour and Arizona's still here. So
oh yeah, it's 3 hours. Yeah. I'm 3 hours ahead of you now. Oh damn.
Yeah, so normally we would be starting this at the time that it is right now is like 10:30. Normally we'd be starting or like getting into a call at this point because that would be noon for you. But, you know, it's
right.
a little earlier today.
Well, it's 1:40 p.m. for me, so it's not
I said
different
normally
for me.
it's
right
noon for you.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. The only part of the time change I like is that I don't like when it gets dark super early because it makes me feel like the day is over and I wasted my entire day by 6 p.m.
Yeah.
So I like that it's gonna be lighter later because it's kind of nice at times when it's like 7:30 p.m. and I look out and it's still like fully light out. So I'm like, oh, okay, you up? I also was watching. I think I sent. Sorry about that ding, by the way.
That ding is just a little subscription box reminding you to like and subscribe.
Hit the bell.
It doesn't YouTube do a thing now where if you say like and subscribe, it like does like a little flare with like the little like button.
I heard about that from something, but I don't know if it actually does. But be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel.
Dude, they keep adding in fucking features, just like quick aside, they keep adding in features like ambient mode that like adds like a light glow around the play box. And now they have like the little like button flourish. But it's like, these are all features for like when you're out in the window. Who's not watching YouTube full screen? And if they're not watching full screen, are not even in theater mode.
Well, I only watch in the window when YouTube's on my second monitor usually. I will bounce back and forth between full screen and the little window because, for one thing, sometimes theater modes, it does actually make like the video player bigger, obviously. Like it extends it top to bottom and side to side a little bit, obviously. Yeah. And sometimes that's like a little overwhelming when it's right in front of me. So I'll watch in the little window. Or like my second monitor, for some reason, my brain has a preference to where my second monitor is, which side of me it's on. I prefer it to be on the left side of me because it's easier for some reason for me to look a little bit over to the left. But when my monitor's on the right side of me, it feels like a lot more effort, even though it makes no sense. And weird. So since the YouTube player, when it's in default mode, plays on the left side of the screen, it's closer to my view of looking to the right. So I'll have it in that mode so that I don't have to look over as far. Since for some reason to my brain, it's like lifting 120 pounds. It's ridiculous. But I do like being able to have this second monitor on these. I also have my monitors on these like boom arm things. So I will often push this second monitor out of the way and just use one when I'm like just playing a game with music in the background or whatever. The only time I turn on this second monitor usually is when I want to watch something while I'm playing a game, or if I like need it for content, like if I need OBS over here, or if I have like Discord on and like my friends, I have our cameras on and stuff. That's usually it though. Most of the time when I'm just gaming solo, I'll just have one monitor. Sometimes it's overwhelming for me to have two.
I'm pretty sure the only times these days that I'll only have one monitor on is if I am watching a video that doesn't have like a chat replay. Like, I'll have that full screen, and off to the other monitor, I'll have the pop-out chat. If I'm watching a video that doesn't have a chat replay, then I'll go down to one monitor. But that's like the only time.
Yeah, no, for me, it's like, if it were like feasible, because I've tried to do this, like, only God and my closest friends know how long I have spent over the last several years, and before I knew a lot of the people I know now and I'm close with now, I have spent so much of my life just trying to figure out how I prefer to have my computer set up on my desk, in my room, whatever you want to say. And for the last 2 or 3 months, I've had it in a setup that I love. I love this setup. I have changed almost nothing except for like the pieces of furniture that are in here, just not like where they are. And my PC setup right now is great because I found a way to get my big curved 32-inch monitor that I love using, because I like having a big monitor. It's easier to see shit, obviously, because my vision is not great up close. And I also, sorry, I had to do a baby burp and I just didn't want to do it into the mic. I'm sorry. But also the bass, sorry, I bumped my mic there. I'm sorry about that, baby.
Don't touch Michael.
I'm sorry, Michael. I didn't mean to bump your head. I'm sorry. So this mic boom arm thing has like a base that like sticks out of the mount that clamps to the desk. So the base is just like a pole. And there are 2 pieces I can put onto it and attach to it and then tighten. And one of the pieces is like 2 independent arms that are like, like bendable, malleable, whatever you want to call it. And then one is just a piece that sits in the middle. It's just a monitor mount, like with the 4 screws that you screw a monitor into, and then it just sits on the pole in the middle in that position. You can't move it with like the arms. The problem with that, when I have the 32-inch monitor on that part of the mount, is that if I want to put side monitors on the other side with using the arms, they can't extend far enough from the center of the base to fit with the 32-inch monitor. Like if it was another like 27-inch monitor or something, they can, but not with the 32-inch. So what I decided to do was just use the 2 independent arms and put the 32-inch monitor on one and move it like over to like 1/2 of the desk, so that the other arm would have the ability to reach over and have a second monitor. And I'm glad I thought to do that, because it's great. And so since I only use like half of my desk for my computer stuff, I just use the other half to store like my laptop stuff and some of my extra controllers, whatever. And this has ended up working fantastically. And I've had this set up like this for like a few, like 2 to 3 weeks now, and it's great. I did remove my Elgato equipment from my setup, I will say, and I did end up adding it back because I found value in it at some point, especially my Stream Deck, because I use my Stream Deck for a lot of commands just for my computer. I don't even use it for streaming, to be honest, anymore, just because I stream with such a simple setup. Other than that, my HD 6DS I just added back because there are mainly for my Switch because of Nintendo, and I can only play those games there. And also, for some reason, Boomer wanted to play Smash recently, and we played Smash for the first time in like 3 years. So that was fun. It was fun.
They really there was a lot of somewhat jokes about it at the time when Sora was added to Smash. That was like, oh, well, this is the death of Smash. Finally, this is the last update. Time for Smash to die. And that kind of has. Like, nobody, like, I haven't seen anybody talking about Smash. I hardly see anybody playing Smash. It really did, like, just the fact that it was no longer live service at that point.
Just fell off.
Yeah, it just started to fade away, because I think it was just the hype that kept people going for quite a while.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, when you add the character reveals definitely were more fun than the game, but, I mean, when you get to a certain point, I mean, like, how many characters are in Smash now with Sora?
It's like 70.
It's like 1 million. Like,
let me look it up. I don't know.
It's definitely more than
number.
70, because the count was in the 80s at one point, I think.
Oh, yeah. Let me look it up.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, you can only add so much content to a game before it just becomes the same shit over and over. I mean, there's a lot of sword fighters.
There are 89 playable fighters.
There you go.
That's quite a lot.
It's a lot. How the fuck are you supposed to pick? Even though I can pick.
That's why I always just like go random. Every time I play Smash, I always just do random.
I do have mains, but only because I'm so instinctually built to fight with them. Yeah,
I've somewhat given up the idea of having a main in fighting games. It's like if I'm going to be playing this fighting game for any amount of fun, then like, you know, I don't want to be stuck in just like one character. Was like a lot of my mentality with Smash Bros. And it's like I could every time I play this game just play as like Donkey Kong and Ganondorf and do whatever I want to do and have fun like that. But then that would cause it to get stale a lot faster. My only skill set would be in those characters, and I wouldn't like. The more that you stick to one set of characters and make them your main, the less likely you are to ever play a different character, unless you really just want to step outside of your comfort zone. But at that point, you're so used to that character that any other character is going to be way more difficult. And I find it way, way more fun to just do random at that point. So you get like the variety of it. You actually get to like experience what the game has to offer, as opposed to like, well, I know I could win if I play this, but maybe winning isn't all that there is.
For me, that's the difference, is the skill thing. For me, it's when I main a character, like, sure, technically I develop skill building and being able to play the character, but the randomness I get is from like the shitty community maps, turning all the worst items on, similar to like Mario Kart. Thankfully, that game does not have community maps, because it would be fucking horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Probably. I'm sure there would be some gems in there at some level. But like, we played on a map that was just like a platform inside of a circle of hellfire, where if you got enough percent in the game, all you could do was bounce on the hellfire. And me and Boomer got to a point where the platform moves, and the only way to unalive yourself, I'll say, is to glitch yourself under the platform so that you can smush yourself through the world and go down to the death zone. And if you do that and then teleport through the top of the fire down back to the platform while you still have your iframes after you respawn, that's the only way to play that mode. Otherwise, you can't die. And if you try to respawn and come inside the hole after your iframes,
come inside the hole.
You're just gonna, yeah, I did say that, huh? Except I'm not 5, so let me finish. No, what I was gonna say though is that if you let your iframes expire and then you try to go back inside the hellfire ring, then you can't. You're just gonna take damage. But that was pretty funny. We did that. It was me, Boomer, and our friend V, and it was just so funny. And like, it was just me like grabbing every Pokeball and being like, huh, another win for me. Well.
Another day, another victory for the Smash Bros. OGs.
it's like it's how you gotta play Smash. I remember it's so funny too, because the character reveal thing. I remember the one I remember the most significantly is Steve, for obvious reasons. But I remember like exactly like where I was, what I was doing, what I was thinking when I found out Steve was coming to Smash, and when I reacted to not only his trailer reveal but the like character demonstration or whatever those were called that Sakurai did with him, which was still crazy.
I don't think I remember where I was for any Smash character reveal. I do. The only one that I can really like vaguely remember would be Banjo, because that was like sort of towards the like start of reveals, and everything else after I just like wasn't up and up with. I think there was, I think like I did watch the Sora reveal live, because that was like the big thing.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure we all did.
Of any other Smash Bros. Reveal that I was like really like present for and
I got an invitation to join Smash. I remember Mithra saying that so vividly.
I just don't think I remember at this point like where I was for any of that. The only Nintendo reveal that I can really say that I remember like where I was for was when they first announced the Mario movie. I still have a clip of my reaction to them announcing the cast of the Mario movie. It's like, oh my god, like 3 years old or something like that. Or no, like, well, actually, no, probably, 3 years old. What year did they reveal the movie? It was like 2021?
I have no idea. I have no idea when they revealed
it was some year, but I still have a clip from that of my absolute surprise of them revealing Chris Pratt. It's a tragedy and also comedic at the same time. At the time that I reacted to that, I still had really shitty microphone settings. So I was like clipping, like peaking.
Is this the original? Yeah.
So, you know, some of that, like, that audio is still, like, shitty for that reaction, but at the same time, I think it adds something, the peaking.
When did the first, like, I'm trying to find out when the first, like, trailer, I don't think it was nearly as long ago as we think it was. The official teaser, like the first teaser was released by Illumination on YouTube in October 2022.
2022?
It was only like a year and a half ago.
Oh, yeah, that is close.
It's like almost the same exact time I came out.
No. So this is, Miyamoto announces Mario movie with Chris Pratt, September 23rd, 2021.
Oh, that must have been when they announced the cast
announcement.
Yeah,
not the
like
trailer, the cast announcement.
That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I was like, no fucking way, that's 2022.
Yeah, I got the distinction mixed up between the trailer and the cast. Holy shit, I forgot the word for cast.
I still haven't seen the Mario movie, and I really don't know if I will.
You haven't seen the Mario movie by now?
Nope.
I did not know that. Wow.
I mean, it's just I'm not a fan of Chris Pratt.
I watched it on like the side of being at someone's house who was playing it.
Mushroom Kingdom,
but I did watch it.
Here we come.
The movie itself was not bad. Although, I mean, like, it doesn't really take much for me to enjoy a movie if there's nothing inherently wrong with it. Or like,
yeah,
like it was just the Mario movie, so it didn't take much for me to
calm down, buddy.
Like, it wasn't the biggest deal for me to watch it. Yeah, it was like, because everyone was fucking watching it. Same thing with like, I mean, the only reason Spider-Man No Way Home, with it being such a mainstream movie, meant so much to me is because it had the same effect that like the Five Nights at Freddy's movies did, in terms of it was made for the fans. Like,
yeah,
it was made specifically tailored to the people who were super fans of this. And I'm not a Five Nights at Freddy's like super fan per se, but I've been following the series since I was a child. Like I just said, I remember exactly where and when with the Steve trailer. I remember where and when and exactly how I like was and what I was wearing when I was 14 years old, and I saw on my sub feed on YouTube TV on my PS3 that Markiplier had uploaded his first video, scariest game of all time in years or whatever, Five Nights at Freddy's, and I watched it. I was immediately hooked by the gameplay. I cannot even describe to you how ridiculous that makes.
It's a spooky game.
It's a spooky game. Like, the concept turned the idea of horror on its head in video games, and I love it. Did you also see that Scott Cawthon was in the Game Theory finale?
I did see that, although I did not watch the finale. I've seen everybody talking about it, and I saw the clip.
I did watch it.
I just had a memory from back around the time that Five Nights at Freddy's first started popping up, like probably a couple months after Markiplier first played it.
Yeah.
I had a friend over. I think we were having like a sleepover or something. And, this friend wasn't like really too up on like YouTube and like that sort of modern gaming. So I loaded up the demo of Five Nights at Freddy's on my laptop, and I was like, enjoy, and like shut the door behind me.
Oh, so you've always been crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. Wait, I mean, I would have been like, what, like 12?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Dude, I was a shitty kid. I'll say that much. I sucked when I was a kid.
I sucked at times. I mean, it was hard for me to break rules as a kid because I was so afraid of breaking them, because my parents were like, if you develop thoughts and opinions of your own, we'll fucking kill you, basically. So it wasn't until I started interacting with a bunch of other people. And also, I grew up in Atlanta. So that should explain to you how much exposure I got to like things like, independence from the system as much as it needs to, because that's plenty of explanation. But yeah, it just took exploration socially with people outside of my family for me to start understanding that there were other things going on in the world other than me and my pristine white heritage that I had. But that's just how I grew up. Like, I'm in a class right now about sociology, and we had a unit where we were like talking about that, and was like, how old were you when you started like figuring out what race was and like how it affects the world and how it affects people? And I was like, honestly, I didn't really understand the full grasp of its effect on the world until I was 20, which is sad. Which is fucking sad. I was 24 years ago.
A lot of people still don't understand it.
Yeah, and like I'm thankful that I do, and that I saw an event occur that pissed me off enough to get me involved and activated my interest in learning more. because I've learned a lot since then. But and thankfully I've been able to do some things. Not as much as I could be doing, definitely, but I want to continue to try and put my efforts and platform towards helping anything I can like that. Like I did a charity stream for the Minnesota Freedom Fund after all that started happening in 2020 and after George Floyd was murdered and that whole thing happened. And I was thankful I got to do that. I'm still thankful I got to do that because that was really cool. Unfortunately, I think that was after they were getting like flooded with too much money, but I still felt good at the time that I was able to do something to help because it made me really angry that was happening.
Although, question for you now, since the topic was brought up, did you grow up religious? Were you a church-going family? I feel... were we a church-going family? Yes, but the answer to did I grow up religious is interesting because I grew up with like the ideology that like I should be religious, but I never understood it enough to be religious. Like I can't fully say that I was religious because I didn't understand what that meant as a kid. I did not understand what God was. I just went to church. All I knew about church was that there was a Starbucks in the church and I got hot chocolate whenever I got to go. And also standing up during the songs made my back hurt as a kid. Like that's the only things I understood about church straight up. I would hear the guy talk about God. It was in this like sound stage. Like it did not feel like a church, but no church does these days. They're always in like some fucking carpeted gymnasium.
Yeah. Like that's all I understood about it. I would go to the kids sections at times and they'd have like sing-along songs that I don't even think were necessarily about God or anything. But were we a religious family? Sure. If you mean like my mom and her taking us to church and that's it. Was I religious growing up? No. But not because of my atheism I now hold. Just because I literally just didn't understand. It's so funny. Like there's so much shit. I didn't know what it truly meant to be transgender until I was like 20 or like maybe 18, 18-ish, somewhere between 18 and 20. Somewhere between AT&T, somewhere between 18 and 20. I didn't understand what it truly meant to be like, to what the struggle with race truly was until I was 20. This shit literally has to be put in front of my face and like explained to me for me to fully understand it. I'm so dense. You guys have no fucking idea how hard it is for me to learn shit and how bad I feel when I realize I haven't learned shit by a certain point. And at a certain point, it's like I can only do so much, you know? My brain has fucking dozens of holes in it. It's not necessarily my fault for everything. But that's just, you know, like I said, like we grew up going to church. As much as there wasn't necessarily like hate crimes going on around me and stuff, and we had a neighborhood that was diverse and stuff, and my family interacted with people, you know, normally, socially appropriately, but also there would be like racist jokes made around me and my white family that like I thought were so funny because they were racist jokes and like I didn't get it, or it was like watching Family Guy or whatever. And it took me until like high school to understand that those jerks were jerks and those jokes weren't funny. I feel like high school is probably about when a lot of people start to learn that kind of thing for real.
I think that's like high school is about the point that you either, well, I guess it's even down to middle school now because of how much like more socialization there is within the youth from social media.
Yeah.
Like it's around that era that either you have some kind of change of heart or you like double down.
Right. And let me be clear. I want to say, speaking of social media, that I think one of the biggest hurts to why a lot of this generation is so bigoted and loves following in their family's racist footsteps is because of Vine. I think Vine was terrible for that.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I think Vine influenced a whole generation of racists, which is annoying because there were so many like black influencers on Vine that were making racist jokes about black people. I look back and I'm like, I don't understand how that even could happen, but it was just of the time and just the way they work, I guess. I don't know. But
everybody was getting away with a lot of racism because a lot of black creators on Vine were basically like their white audience's black friend, you know?
Right.
That kind of thing.
And it was just like, what the fuck? Like, because nowadays people have to go on TikTok and be like, stop doing this thing, or like go support this thing, and it's exhausting to watch the internet run in circles because nobody knows what they're doing.
So the other day, while I was sitting in a parking lot, as I usually am, whenever, helping my grandma with her appointments.
Well, I was sitting in a parking lot watching women put their groceries into their trunks, as I do,
with my custom binoculars.
I was gonna say,
no, I was sitting in this parking lot, and there's like a car next to me. That was also just like some people sitting in there waiting because I guess like they had a family member that was also just had an appointment there, so the rest of them were just waiting in the car, and it was this, I think, teenage daughter and an 8-year-old son and like an actual like toddler, like maybe like not even toddler, like actual baby, like year old at most. And this baby is just kind of like, it's just kind of like wobbling over and not really able to like hold itself up much. And, just it's standard baby things, just kind of just flopping about like a baby. And the fucking 8-year-old kid, he gets fucking angry at this baby for like not being able to do something, and he goes,
I do not like where this is going.
You're mentally challenged, aren't you? These fucking kids are not all right. Like the chronically, like if you think that being chronically online is a thing of just like
so fucking
our
stupid.
age demographic, it's so much worse. Like it's not just like the skibbity toilets in this world that are like,
stop wobbling. You're such a skibbity toilet. Stop.
Like it's not just media like that that's like sort of poisoning the minds of the next generation. It's like the creators that they see online, the content creators, the YouTubers, the people on TikTok, like what they are seeing are these fucking
Twitterers.
like, it's like these fucking like I show speed kind of people that are just like constantly like hype beasting the fuck out of everything. Yeah. And just like being not good role models for their child audience.
Eat Feastables. Eat Feastables. Drink Prime. Vote Republican.
Drink Prime.
It's like, you guys are so blind. It's crazy. It's actually nuts.
But it's like there's truly at this point zero monitoring happening what children are seeing online. That is like that is like beyond your average level of like schoolyard bullying kind of thing. That's like straight up like hateful rhetoric that they've learned online is what the kids have now. Legitimately hateful rhetoric that like they carry with them and they learn as lessons.
Yeah.
It makes me somewhat concerned that it's like, at our current age, we'll find ourselves having to have political discussions with or like, engaging in the same political spaces as people of the generations above us, people that are either like in, millennials in their 30s or like Gen X or anything like that. People who are older than us and have been in the space longer than us that we have to engage with now. But in like 10 years, we're going to be those people that are the older people in those spaces. And we are going to be having to share those political spaces and have political discussions. And like, we're, the voter base is going to be that generation of children. The fucking 8-year-olds like screaming chronically online hateful rhetoric to their baby siblings are going to be who we share these political spaces with. The people who unknowingly being fed propaganda by people who are unknowingly spreading propaganda in their like whatever fucking FIFA streams they do. That's who we're going to have to share the political floor with. It's bad enough already now having to like get into it with any kind of debate lord that just wants to trigger the libs and doesn't actually like have any like care or nuance in any of their discussions. It's going to be worse. It's going to be so much worse.
2024 will be so crazy for the lore. Another way to put it that I think about is what's crazy to me, and I recognized this in high school because I could see so much potential in like my generation. There's something about kids from like 1998 to like 2003 and people that were born in that specific set, I feel like are different than everyone else around them. I feel like there's something about our generation of that year set, maybe like 97 to like 2003 ish, there's just some kind of different way. There's some kind of like we are built different thing about us that we just like can see what's going on. And like, there's such a slim margin of us compared to the rest of the world's population that like, if we don't get in and get like the majority of influence, then those generations, those older generations of bigots around us and this new fresh breed of them will just like smush us and then take over the whole thing. And then I don't know. It's so like, it was so different watching like Vine kids and like flossers and shit come into high school when I was leaving, and then watching like assholes and bullies leave high school when I was coming in. And then my generation was just like, oh wow, there's actually a lot of talented artists and sports athletes and stuff in my generation, and academic scholars and whatever. And then the backpack kid started going to my high school, which is real, by the way. I went to the same high school as the backpack kid. I saw him at a Subway once with like 5 black guys with him that were all taller than him. Just was kind of crazy.
Just for the record.
Just obviously doesn't matter that they're black, but it was just like crazy how many large men he had around him. Like almost bodyguards, while he was at a Subway that was empty besides me and him and those 5 guys. And I think I came home and told people in Discord that had just happened when it did. I don't remember exactly when it happened, though.
Yeah, there's definitely like a narrow window, I think, of like, technically Gen Z is like my generation and you also fall into it. But right. I think like right now the cutoff for millennial is like, I don't know. I think the youngest millennial right now is like about to turn 30. But there is that weird in between where it's like there's a good few years of Gen Z that's like not the same as a lot of Gen Z. There's a divide right at the start of it. And I think it just comes into like narrowly avoiding like the current brain rot that exists.
Right.
Just being just old enough to not have a lot of the same terrible influences that the kids have now. Mm-hmm. I think that saves a lot. And also being old enough to remember like the 2008 recession and like the Obama administration, like living through those and like being like conscious and, you know, like sentient through that. I think that does help a lot. Like knowing that era and like narrowly dodging a bullet.
I just found out also the oldest millennials right now are 43. The youngest millennials are like will be 28 this year. And then Gen Z, the youngest will be like 12 this year and the oldest will be like 27.
Yeah, now we have, I guess it's not Gen Z, the ones fucking yelling about being mentally challenged to their baby siblings. That's Gen Alpha.
Yeah, that's Gen Alpha.
I don't want to have to share communal online, especially
I don't want to
political.
Have to share a bathroom with Gen Alpha.
Like having to share these online spaces already, like, you know, it used to be back in like in the 2000s and even through some of the 2010s that like a good rule of thumb if you were a kid on the internet is assume everybody else is an adult and knows more than you. Mm-hmm. And like assume that they are adults and like, you know, take that with the caution that you should. But it's more so now that you have to treat everyone on the internet as if they're a child. Like you have to just assume if I'm going through a TikTok comment section of anything and it's like the most completely uninformed like responses or anything and just like pure like propaganda shit, like or people just completely like not understanding at all any of the concepts within the video. Like there's I have to see people in TikTok replies, like I saw in a TikTok reply one time like having to explain to an actual child what a coup was. Like when like you're overthrowing a fucking
noise
country,
a bird
like
makes in the morning.
Yeah.
Coo.
It's like having to actually explain to a child in like the comment section talking about a coup that was happening, and it's like that's any.
I've found another person who shouldn't have a phone yet.
Yeah.
Literally.
So it's like anybody that like that's why it's just like not worth engaging anybody on anything at all.
Right.
Because you're not talking to a level-headed adult who knows what they're talking about. Or even if they are an adult, typically not level-headed or know what they're talking about. But in all actuality, you are most likely anybody that is going to be leaving like a reply to your TikTok or like a comment on your thing or any kind of discussion. It's children. It's babies. It's actual babies.
Yeah. I think it would be great if every social media company just started hiring teams of people to find comments that were obviously posted on videos by children, or just like replies to tweets or whatever that were obviously made by children, and banning them. It would be so much easier if we could just finally get rid of children having access to the internet. I don't think they should have access to the internet until they're at least like 15. I think that's fair. I think they should be allowed to watch YouTube. Do I think they should be able to engage with the video at all? No, other than being able to literally watch it. And this is mostly a joke, but also there's a lot of limitations children should have that they don't have when it comes to the internet.
You should have to like verify you're an adult before you're allowed to leave comments on anything.
Right. And they always like, it's always like, are you 13? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. All right.
Like, and meanwhile, they're 7 and they have an iPhone.
And they're like, Steam doesn't know that I'm 5. It's like, literally.
I was worried for like a while, because I have 2 younger cousins that are both boys, and they're like 8 years younger than me. And I remember being concerned as like a child at like around the age of like 13 or 14, being like, oh, my aunt is like giving these like, you know, these children that are like 7 at the time, like they have phones, they have iPads, they have access to the internet. That's not going to turn out well.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, in this current day and age, they're both like 13-ish now, and they are chronically online. And every time that like I have to interact with either of them, it is borderline intolerable because of them being chronically online.
Yeah. It's just hard to deal with a child who was raised socially, because that's like the engagement they understand is like the online shit, the Mr. Beast, the Logan Paul, the Fortnite, whatever. And, you know, I think there's a stronger chance for kids who are obsessed with Markiplier versus like Logan Paul, but that doesn't change the fact that they shouldn't be as involved in the internet as they are, because that's not only not going to give them any skills or help them down the road, it's going to harm their chances of being able to like socialize or get a good career, you know, because the difference between me and a kid is like, yeah, I'm chasing being a content creator because that's what I love. I've been doing it for over a decade. It's something that I love doing, and it's the way I creatively express myself. The reason kids do it is because they're like, holy shit, I got a Glock in my Rari, and I want another one, and I want another one, and then they want to chase that dream, and I get it. And there are kids today who are super creative and talented, and they definitely just, like, I hope they get the success they want because they deserve it for the creativity they love expressing. But there are also, the difference between me and a kid like that is there's a lot of kids today that are like, I don't need a degree or like a legitimate job because I'm going to make Glocks in my Rari or whatever. Yeah. It's just obviously a really stupid way to put it. But like me, I'm sticking out college and suffering through education and suffering through like college debt just to have a backup in case this creative shit doesn't work out, because I'm not going to get screwed by this system if I don't have to. And any financial benefit I can get from it, I'm going to use to help others to the best of my ability. And that's why I want to grow such a platform, is so that I can do as much good as I can, because, and Matt Pat was talking about this, and his fear of like leaving behind content creation was like, did he do enough? And like, did he do all the good he could do before he left, or is there more he should be doing? And for me, it's kind of the same thing. Like, I feel like I'm not doing enough in creating my content because I'm not growing my platform fast enough, which makes me feel like there's a lot of good I could be doing. Should I be working harder to get there so I can do it? It's like, you know, I just have to, at the end of the day, I have to do me, and like I'm very unhealthy in a lot of ways, just like chronically. So I have to I have to make sure I'm okay so that I can do that later. So right now I'm just taking care of myself and like, working on my education, working on building better habits in my sleep and stuff like that, working on balancing my, better on building a good work-life balance and stuff like that, so that later down the line, when I do find success in this field, we can do more stuff like that. You and me, or just Cosmic Emerald, Closing Shift, Big Wow Big, whatever, stuff like that, because those are the passions that I've had for so many years, and I would love to finally see them fleshed out. The success that Milk is Superior had was just like a taste of it, and it was fantastic, and I loved it. But I want to do bigger, better things, and Cosmic Emerald is definitely a brand that sticks with me to heart more, and that's just my personal take on it. I don't know if do you feel similar about rotting coffee or like anything like that? I'm sure you do.
Yeah, although to be entirely honest, that was a very long thought, and I had difficulty.
No, I totally understand.
Following it by the end of it. By the end of it, I'd forgotten what the start of it was.
Like what I mainly think you probably see similarly is that like we want to succeed at this. Obviously you and I want to do a lot of it together, but we want to find success in our creative fields so that not only can we live off of it comfortably enough to keep doing it, we can also help others.
Yeah. Like I definitely like having, like I know already that like a couple regulars that I have, like I am like a good part of their day. Like I know that like the stuff that I do is like, it is helping in some degree. And I want to like use that and use my platform as much of it as I have, like to try and it's why I very explicitly make it so like like no children are allowed in my stream. And if I catch on that you are a child, you are going to be fucking banished. Like my influence that I'm trying to give and like what I'm trying to make is like, I want to make sure that what I put out is going to be like good and helpful. And it's like, I don't get into, it's like sometimes in my chat, things can like turn towards more serious topics and things that are like more scary and doomery. And I try and steer away from a lot of topics, anything like that. Like I really don't like, I will address things. I'll talk about like serious things, but
yes,
I'm always very, very careful about like what precedent what I say on stream and what I do sets. Like if I like my streams, my content is never a place where it's like it's not a place where it's like aha, sunshine, smiley, happy. Like it isn't that. Right, but it's not a place where it's just like the world's fucking ending and I hate it. Like I try and like make that worth something, not just like a place for people to go and gloom and die. Make it worth something. Also, you said before that like you thought that the people like us who grew up on like Markiplier have a better shot of things.
Yeah.
The kids now growing up on Markiplier are just as bad with brain rot though. I had to leave the Markiplier subreddit because I was like, oh, this will be fun. I can like see like
I love
like
Markiplier.
Fan art. I can see like fan art and memes of Markiplier is kind of what it was for the most part for quite a while, was just like fan made content and about stuff about Markiplier, discussions about Markiplier.
Before Gen Alpha got there.
Yeah, like no, legitimately, like every time that like I had to leave the subreddit because I would like go onto Reddit and I would see posts like from Markiplier subreddit in my feed, and it would be all like 8-year-olds that are like, how come Markiplier video? Did it disappear? Is it gone forever? And everybody's like, refresh your page. It's there. You just don't know how to use YouTube. It's there. It's like every single. It's that, and even worse, more than that. It's people like every single day going into the subreddit. They'll like have a screenshot of like one of those reply bots in like the comments that it's like, real Markiplier, 100% no fake, giving away free iPhone. They'll post a screenshot of that in the subreddit and be like, guys, is this real? Like every day there'd be like at least 5, and every there's always like 3 replies that are just like, no, it's never real. Please, like I've like all the adults within that space are just like, oh my god, these fucking kids.
That's the sad part, is like we're the adults in the space And we were the kids before. And people probably felt the same way about us back then. But the difference is that you kids today are so fucking stupid. It's like painful. Like, I'm sorry, but like your parents, and there are genuinely like there are kids I've talked to.
Kids these days have the potential to be smart. They're just fucking gullible as shit.
Well, yeah, there's like some kids that are like kids of friends of mine, or like like my cousins, or like stuff like that. And I talk to them, I'm like, damn, this is like a really intelligent kid. They're probably gonna do really cool stuff later in life. But I see some kids and like they barely learn to like walk and coherently speak, and they're like 14, and I'm like, how the fuck have you even lived this long? I don't understand. And like, I wish the best for them, but they're just not gonna get that where they are, and that's the sad part. But I think there is, when you were talking about Reddit, I thought to say something. I think there is genuinely something to the fact that I have not been affected in my depression and anxiety as much as I could have been. Because I have literally never had a Reddit account that I've ever used. And I was never a Redditor in any capacity, not even a light capacity. Like, I never went on the Reddit website once until for like the Big Wow Big podcast a while ago. I went and like found a Reddit story for us to like read in an episode once, because I was getting really into Smosh reading those at the time. But even still, that's most of my Reddit consumption is through that. I only have a Reddit account because of that one thing during that podcast we were doing. And other than that, I've never had another account. It's not an account that represents me at all. It's got a random username or some shit. And I'm not gonna go on Reddit now. I've always been a YouTube viewer, Twitch viewer. Twitch is also something that like most of what I go on Twitch to watch is either my friends, or there's like a couple streamers I'll peek into every so often. Like, weirdly enough, I watch mostly YouTube streamers, but that's not because, like, for one thing, it's because I can watch them on my TV. Most streaming devices don't come with Twitch, unfortunately. But I think most of my favorite creators are on YouTube, which is just by chance, but I'm not complaining.
Yeah, just by happenstance.
Yeah, plus it's in the same format as watching a video, so for me it's nothing different, because I go here most of the time anyway.
I think one of the most succinct ways to like describe what's happening, like in the most sympathetic way possible, like not trashing on the youth, not trying to like say like inherently like, oh, what the kids like is bad because they're kids and I hate them.
Yeah, let me clarify like, that too. I don't want to make it seem like that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of frustration caused by like having obvious children in mature spaces. But
yeah,
in the most sympathetic way to describe it, the biggest issue that like children will face right now is that their exposure to the outside world comes primarily from their classmates who are on social media, and social media. What they are seeing is, you know, they're not growing up with like, you know, from the moment they're born, they're going to get fed Cocomelon, and they're going to get fed entertainment. There's nobody really on the internet, especially on TikTok. You'll maybe find a couple good eggs here and there, but on social media in general, any place where a child is going to be, there are not creators, there are not spaces that are child safe. There's not a set of creators on TikTok that are like there for the children, that are like there to provide a good influence and be educational and provide any kind of value or substance. They don't exist. What these children are seeing on social media is entertainment being made for the purpose of just like making people laugh and making the creator money. What they're being exposed to is purely exploitative, and it's not any healthy representation of reality. They're going to learn what reality is and what the outside world is from parody, from satire, things that aren't accurate representations of the truth, because it's all made for laughs, and comedy has to be transformative in some way. But if that's how you're learning how the world works, you're learning this bastardized parody version of reality, because that's what the entertainment is. So you're not getting any kind of good exposure that's going to teach you any good lessons or be any kind of good influence. you're getting Coco Melon. Things that are just going to make you laugh and you'll move on and you won't have any growth from it. And that's really fucking sad that the kids don't have that. Like you and I grew up on like shit like Mr. Rogers, even though that's like all pretty much before our time. But like things like that, like Blue's Clues and Mr. Rogers and like all these like very positive, happy things. And there's things like Bluey now, but like that's not really what the kids that are fucking screaming in parking lots are watching. They're watching streamers, they're watching YouTubers, they're watching any creator on TikTok that are going to be, they're going to be screaming, they're going to be loud, they're going to be angry, because that's what gets people engaged, and that's what draws these children's attention, is being loud and funny. That's their Mr. Rogers. That's their Steve. Is these fucking like these chovs raging at FIFA. That's the version of reality that they learn, is one of parody and anger and like just straight up intolerance. And I'm sorry for them that they can't have that. I genuinely feel like a pit, a dread, thinking about what this next generation has to deal with. That, like, they don't get any of the same help that we got.
Yeah. Also, when it comes down to it, like, it's like everything you said, plus considering the developmental stages of a child's brain, especially, that they have to learn to associate and identify things with, that gets messed up because they're just handed an iPad and told to watch stuff. That's such a freeing platform of choice to give them when they don't even have like preferences yet. They just have to like develop them from that screen, and that's gonna fuck them up later because they're not gonna, they need to like go to school and socialize, and like I think good educational and open-minded TV shows like that are great for that kind of thing, but that's just a lot of parents nowadays are like exhausted from the shit they had to go through, and they're tired and they don't want to deal with teaching their kids shit like that. Of course, we would never like actually generalize, but speaking in just like big terms, probably a great deal, at least half of like parents out there are in need of just as much help as their child is in need of help developing and growing. And without things like, healthcare and stuff they can't get that help because there's so much lack of sympathy and care for mental health of adults that their shitty mental health is just going to feed into their child, and then it's just a cycle. It's just going to be a cycle.
Yeah, it is worth mentioning that just like the current state of everything, that like if you want to care for a child at this point, a lot, unless you have like a really nice job, is going to be you and your partner both working full-time jobs to care for your family. Yep. And within that, the cost of childcare is insane. Like it's, so you either have this situation of like the child is going to be neglected in those ways and not going to have the proper care and attention that needs to be taken for engaging in any online space, because parents just don't have the time because they have to work to feed their family because everything sucks financially right now.
This is such a deep rabbit hole too, but I think where we're at in the podcast, this is probably a good point to end. I guess we could end it on a lighter note. I mean, we hope for the best. We're just we're observing the world around us, and we're in that small generation, like I said, that we have to, it's kind of our time to deal with it. So we're just dealing with it how we know how. And like I said, I would love to have the platform to raise millions of dollars every year for charity, but I will do everything I can in small pieces, bit by bit, until I can get to that point.
Yeah, I suppose that's all there is to say on the topic, however sad it is. I guess just end it with the note of, know that a lot of the people you are going to be engaging with in the internet, and even more so in the coming years, is going to get worse and worse, that there are going to be more and more children in mature spaces. The most important thing that you can do is to have empathy towards those children, because when you engage with those children in these online spaces where they're not supposed to be, when you engage with them with aggression, with anger, with condescension, of course, treating them like they don't belong there because they don't, but they are going to be in those spaces regardless. And if nobody else is going to be a good influence for these children, at least we can try to be. At least a little. Just have a little care for them where basically nobody else does right now.
Right. Just keep it in mind when you're, like, in that scenario.
Remember that they're kids, they're malleable, they're gullible. They're going to believe whatever anybody tells them, including you. And if what you tell them is angry and hateful, that is going to be how they perceive the world and carry it with them.
Yeah, that's what you're going to teach them. They're going to learn it, and then they're going to repeat it.
So carry this message with you, and we'll see you in our next therapy session next Friday.
Hope you all have a good rest of your weekend and rest of your week. We'll see you next Friday. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.